Hi class, my name is Dr. Sharma and this is Organic 2 CHM 2211. So if you're enrolled in this class, you'll see me first day this Tuesday. But I wanted to go over the syllabus so we can save some time and hit the ground running as we get to the curriculum and the main content. So what I request you to do is go through the entire video and take the syllabus quiz. That is a mandatory quiz, and until the time you take that to 100% accuracy, the Blackboard course is not going to open for you. So you must go through the syllabus, come up with any questions if you have. You have as many attempts as possible to take that quiz, but please make sure that you take that quiz before Thursday, because that way you would not miss any assignments, and you still will have access to the PowerPoint slides and the quizzes, etc., etc. The later you do that, the more you postpone it, the more time you're going to lose. All right, so preferred contact method. You can contact me either by phone, the phone number is provided, or you can use the Blackboard message and I will reply you within 24 hours as long as it's a weekday. If it's a weekend, then of course it can take longer. The book that we are going to use, that is by John McMurray, Access Card, which is available in the bookstore. About the Access Card, I usually generate a shell for the students to work on, but no assignment or no online workload is assessed from that part. So it's only for your own practice. If you're a person who's aiming towards a PCAT or an MCAT and you wanted to, let's say, solve any and every question under the sun, or as many questions under the sun, that's what you would be doing. But trust me, the homework assignments that I would provide you with the answer key, those are more than enough to pass the course with flying colors. If you do what I tell you to do, there shouldn't be any problems in doing well in the course. Each Tuesday, that is the day that we meet in for a lecture, which is room number 347 is where we meet at. You will be expected to bring in, and I don't really care whether you bring in a hard copy of the PowerPoint slides or whether you bring in a soft copy, but as long as you write along. So again, I would like to emphasize here that writing is a big component of learning organic chemistry, and I emphasized, some of you were with me in organic 1, so you already have been trained in the way you're supposed to think, and we are only going to fine-tune that. But those who were not, well, we will still get you up to the mark so you know how to do what. But again, I ask you, you must learn to write alongside and not just listen. The listening part is a very passive way of learning organic chemistry, and it's not going to go very far, especially for this course, because it's a very heavily heavily based on mechanisms and writing prepare questions and reactions, etc. So let's talk about the evaluation process. You will have a total of four 1 to 1.5 hour exams. Now, exam 2, for instance, could be an hour and 45 minutes. But somewhere between 1 to 2 hours is ballpark the limit. We will have 4 of these exams, and the weighted average coming from these exams is 40%. All of these exams are going to be given in the testing center. And I say that in the tentative schedule as well, but since we are on the topic, all of these are going to be in the testing center. Which testing center? That's going to be the East Campus Testing Center. The hours for East Campus Testing Center may be found online, and again, the tentative schedule has the link to that web page as well. But the tests are going to be available Friday, 7 a.m. to Monday, and testing center closes at 9 p.m. So, for instance, let's talk about exam one. Exam one, which is as per the tentative schedule, it's in the week of 25th. Week of 25th. And it opens on Friday, which will be May 29th, 7 a.m. And it's going to remain available until Monday, which will be June of 1st. And I think the testing center closes, I think I already said that, 9 p.m. That particular day. So you will have May 29th, 30th, 31st, and 1st, any of those days. So Friday, Saturday, and Monday, you can go to the testing center. Testing center is closed on Sundays. But if you cannot make it during that time, then we'll have to come up with an alternative. So you have the first week to mull over it and let me know. But those are the days that the test will be available in the testing center. And that's how you're going to take that. All right, let's go forward. One thing that I would like to say, if you are a person who requires complete silence and you want to bring in your own earplugs, as long as the earplugs are not connected to anything, so they are really the earplugs, you would be able to use those in the testing center. But we have no problem. We do this every semester. Let's talk about the online quizzes and the take-home quizzes. All right. Overall, we will have 12 quizzes, and usually out of the 12, I try to give about 3 that are take-home quizzes, and the remaining are online quizzes. I say that later on as well, but the online quizzes, again, will become available on Friday mornings, 8 a.m. to Tuesday, 8 a.m. So you have to find the time to take the quiz on that day. If it's a take-home quiz, however, you have only 24 hours to work on it, solve it, and bring it with you. There is nothing fancy about take-home quiz. It's just that I want to give you some practice of, again, writing in a timely manner. Whether it's an online quiz or it's a take-home quiz, it usually takes somewhere between 15 minutes to half an hour, depending on how comfortable you are with the material. If you have not opened your book, if you haven't had the chance to read through the chapter at all, then of course it's going to take longer. But so I would suggest give yourself the time. But this is an excellent opportunity to get started, get a little bit ahead of the game in terms of, again, writing down the reactions. All right. The final, that's a cumulative final, which is 15% of your grade, and it's in the week of July 27th, so that means on July 28th, you will proceed to the testing center again and take the final there. And this particular exam is going to be an all multiple choice exam. That means everything would be on Blackboard, but you still have to go to the testing center. All tests at Valencia are proctored, so you still have to go to the testing center and you would need to take the exam there. I can absolutely make the test available July 27th and 28th if you need 2 days, but it has to be done in the testing center. It has to be done through Blackboard. The labs. will account for 25%, which is one out of the four credits that you're going to receive. So 25% of your grade comes from the labs. We are going to run in all 10 labs. That means each lab is going to give you 2.5%. So, I mean, just envision each week you're running a lab, you're taking a quiz. So you are actually accruing, around 3.5, 4.5%, sometimes depending on if there's any other assignments due. You might actually be accruing more points. So missing labs is not a good idea for more than one reason, and I'll tell you that in a second. Let's talk about group activity wikis. This is one of the four side assessments. When I use the word side assessment, that does not mean extra credit. It is for credit for everybody. Actually, 10% points of your overall score basically comes from assessments that you do in your own time. Some of those, like the synthesis problem, is an assessment that we do in class. This is the one that we do in class, but pretty much MOS, the reaction mechanism, group activity, majority of it is done outside of the class. A little bit of that is also done in a class. So it's a combination, you can say. But together, right from group activity to the synthesis problem, together, these are 10% points, which is one letter grade. And so I would not suggest that you should miss any of these. So let's talk about each of these one at a time. Let's talk about group activity wikis, what they are. And then we'll go through, the reaction mechanism, all of those. So the wikis are essentially a student-driven review. Your class will be divided into groups of 3 to 4 students depending on the class size. You would be assigned essentially a specific topic, and that is completely decided by luck of draw. The day of the wiki. So on your tentative schedule, it will show a wiki 1, a wiki 2, etc. So as I show you the tentative schedule, I'll refer to that one more time. 3 days prior to that day, you and your group will start seeing a link on the left side of Blackboard. You will start seeing a link on the left side that says wiki. And when it becomes available, essentially, depending on the group size, again, you will have 3 links on the right side that will say something like student 1, student 2, and student 3. Let's say if there's 3 students. You would go through, you would claim your wiki, you would solve that, you would upload your answers, and then there will be, a time where you and your partners collaborate with each other. You look at each other's work critically. So if I were you, what I would do is I would still print all the 3 out, because you want to make sure that your answers sort of match other people's, and you can give them critical insight whether they are right or wrong, and help them with that. And then you guys will reach a general consensus or not. I keep a very close eye on that. And on the day that it's due, you're going to present your work. So as you can see, it essentially is a 3-segment assignment, which comprises of individual work, online group work, and in-class presentation. And each of these is worth 1% point. In addition to that, we're going to also have a molecule of the semester project, which also is a 3-segment project, and I'm going to discuss that in a little bit in a lot more detail so you can see what's where. Again, that there will be an abstract, there will be an online discussion, and there'll be a report to follow up. In the beginning, in the month of May, essentially, you would be working on the reaction mechanism homework, in which this is really a homework and is available right now. So what you should do is print it out, find out the error in the mechanism based on what you know from organic one, and write down the mechanism, push the arrows the way they are supposed to be. So this is an excellent exercise for you to get started on the right foot right from day one. There are problems that we see in mechanism that students make over and over and over. So the exercise itself has instructions. I remind you of the rules that we learned in organic one, and then there's a series of questions that you have to solve and bring it with you next week and basically turn that in. It is worth 2% points, and the week after we take a look at it for another 1% point during the lab time. So those are three sort of side projects that we are going to take a look at, that we are going to attend to, which are very closely knit with the rest of the course. So hopefully you would be able to take advantage of these as we go along. All right. Obviously, you have to come to class on week one to avoid being dropped from a class as a no-show. If you decide to go on a cruise or for whatever reason, you can't make it, and if I don't see you before the no-show period ends, you will be reported as a no-show. And about the labs, more than 3 absences in the lab automatically lead to an F in the course. This is a combined course, and attendance in lab is mandatory. If you miss 3 labs, you have already missed about 10% of the points, and so you won't be allowed to continue on in the course. Usually, when you miss the first lab, I send you a friendly reminder where I tell you you've missed 1 lab. Please realize labs are worth 2.5% points. Da da da. But if you continue to miss, then of course there's going to be repercussions to that. All right, let's talk about cheating. Absolutely no tolerance for cheating. Anytime you're caught cheating or plagiarizing content from the internet or from a book or whatever the resource might be, essentially you're going to receive a 0 for that assignment, that entire assignment. And if that happens second, that means I'm just on a different level than where you are at. We are not understanding each other's frequency, and you will be failed from the course. So don't do that. It's not worth it. Now, Valencia has a policy that they usually put the letter Z in front of your grade, and that's kind of like a label that you were caught cheating in an event that happens. So don't do it. It's not worth it. Okay. Anytime the outline is changed, I will let you know. I usually make the announcement in the class, and I also send an announcement as to what the updates are, essentially through Blackboard. So Blackboard is a very, very important tool. And if you don't check your Blackboard, when I set up an announcement, it automatically sends the email to your Valencia account. So if you don't check your email, you're not going to be at the same level as the rest of your class. If you are a UCF student and you're a transient student at Valencia, I would very strongly recommend that you should just forward your Valencia ID, your email ID, all of your emails to your UCF account. Now, anytime you have to email me, you have to use your Valencia account. The college requires me to answer only those emails that come from a Valencia account. If you choose to use an AOL or Gmail or Yahoo or something that will end up in my junk, and I don't check my junk email very often, so sometimes I do, but Essentially, I may not even know that you actually sent me a message. So a good idea is A, either to log in through Blackboard, or B, use the Valencia account to email me. Okay. All right. Should something not work for you within the course and you decide to withdraw, July 10th is the deadline. I do not withdraw any student for any reason. You have to do it yourself. While I would be returning all of your labs, within 1 week or sometimes 2 weeks, depending on if there is a test that you took, and I have two bundles to grade, I always give priority to exams because they are a more high risk assessment. And so, but you will anyways get your labs as well as your exams back. Exams usually within 2 days, and labs usually, within a week or two. So keep a track of your grades, but if you still have a question in terms of where you are at and what's your likelihood in terms of your overall grade in the class, feel free to email me and I'll be more than happy to help you with that. Final exam, July 28th is the day. It is mandatory, it is not optional. Any student not taking the final will receive a grade of F for the entire course, so do not miss that. This is an exam that is an all multiple choice question exam. You will still have to go to the testing center, it still will be proctored, and you have to do it by July 28th. That's the deadline for that. There is no extra credit given this in this class. Whatever is given to the entire class and not to specific students. So please do not email me asking for that. Let's talk about the integrated online workload, which you're going to see. Again, you've heard me talk about the quizzes and stuff, but I just want to highlight one more time before we go forward. Like I said earlier, there are going to be weekly online and take-home quizzes. There are a total of 3 to 4 take-home quizzes. The rest of them are weekly online quizzes, which appear Fridays in the morning and remain available Tuesdays, 8 a.m. And it's your responsibility to log into Blackboard using your Valencia ID and password and take the quiz. You don't have to go to the testing center for this part. You can do that from the comfort of your home. On an average, a quiz does take about 30 minutes. Some quizzes might be done. You might be done in like 15. So it just depends on the material that you're being quizzed on. These are all multiple choice quizzes, containing multiple choice questions. Some quizzes are take-home quizzes where you are expected to show your work. And so these will appear on Blackboard 24 hours prior to when they're due. You have to print, solve, and turn it in the class. You cannot email that to me. There's no exceptions for this. You just have to give it an original. Let's talk about the second assessment, which has a pretty considerable amount of online work, and that is the MOS, the Molecule of the Semester assignment. Essentially, what it is a multi-step proposal which is worth 3% points, 1% for each segment. The first segment essentially has focus on what is called as an abstract. So this is where you discuss your proposed route. We always write an abstract in a retrosynthetic manner. Retrosynthetic manner. So what that means is that you go backwards. So you would say, let's say your aim was to go, giving you an example of, from Organic 1. Let's say you had propene and your job was to convert propene into pentanone. So let's draw pentanone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you are probably thinking right now, okay, I had 3 carbons and I have 5 carbons. There's going to be a chain elongation of some kind. So you're thinking in your head, well, what if, and I use my solid arrow for the retroanalysis, I can get the pentanone from pentyne. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you can say again that this 2-pentyne can be obtained from propyne, and the propyne can be obtained from perhaps the dibromo 1,2-dibromopropane, which can be obtained from propene. So notice the use of the solid arrow, which is going in a backward direction. You never put the reaction condition, but rather just a generic word to describe the the reaction that's occurring. So for instance, in the first one, which is a conversion really of the triple bond into the ketone, you would say that this is a hydration step. Whereas going from a 3-carbon to a 5-carbon, that's a chain elongation step. And then at a later time, of course, when you're writing your final report, you're going to provide me the exact reaction conditions to do so. But a retrosynthetic analysis is basically just a method to provide what's the sequence that you're going to follow in order to get your target molecule. So when you come up with that strategy, you're going to essentially post your abstract. It's going to be a 1-page abstract. Again, all of the rules and the instructions are given within the task itself, which is on Blackboard again. So you're simply going to hit submit for that one, and it will go through the plagiarism check for you. No emails accepted for that one again. You will post this under that abstract link as well under the online discussion. Then you will discuss it with your peers. They will provide you the insight whether that strategy is going to work or not. And then you're going to finally write down a scientific report based on just one method, one procedure that you proposed in that route. So some general tips and pointers. As you predict the synthesis, you will be required to provide the expected proton IR and mass spec. MS is for mass spec. Only one submission is done. In order to draw any structures, I have provided you 3 resources which are free. ChemDoodle is my favorite, and you can use the free trial method. It does have a watermark at the back that says ChemDoodle, but that's okay. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't bother me. But if it bothers you and you didn't want that, then you will have to spend, I think for students, it's $19.99 was what it was last semester. So it's up to you. ChemDoodle is something that can work from your iPad or your tablet. On the other hand, the other 2, I believe, work only from a real personal computer. All right, the final stage of this project is called a scientific 1, which is the final report, where you would actually provide me the retrosynthetic analysis, what you came up with, and now the exact conditions which will bring your molecule from your starting material to your target molecule. And it must be uploaded again through the link no later than 19th of July, midnight. You will be identifying one reaction in that entire total synthesis and coming up with a scientific procedure. So what you learn in the lab as to how to write down the past tense passive voice, you're going to actually implement that because that's the real deal. For resources, of course, you can ask me at any given point of time. You can use the internet. If I were you, I would not use Wikipedia. That's not a reliable source. But you can use any journal article If you want to get started, you wanted to brainstorm with me, that's okay. You can come to my office and we can discuss that. Um, let's talk about the wiki assignments now. The wiki assignments are, like I said, a student driven review which rotates throughout the semester. There are basically 6 categories from aromaticity to carbonyl condensations. Your class will be divided, and it's completely luck of draw. I do not assign those topics. You guys decide who you're going to work with, and essentially you come in, you pick a chit, and you belong to that group then. But on the day that the wiki is due, 3 days prior to that, in the morning, you will start seeing a wiki link on the left hand side, and you will go, you will claim your wiki, you will work on it, and I ask you to upload your work no later than 36 hours prior to when it's due. That will give your peers a good opportunity to basically go over your work and, come up with any suggestions, any solutions. So if I were you, if I was a part of this wiki, what I would do is I would print out all 3. I would select the one that you think you are going to deliver best. So first come, first serve always works. You snooze, you lose always works too. So pick your particular wiki page, work on it, upload your answers, and while your peers are working on, their stuff, you should take the time to solve those questions as well. What that will do is it will keep you ready for when they have uploaded their stuff, and you can just kind of match up the answers. And if everything looks good, you can give them positive critical insight. But if you don't quite think, if it didn't match up, then you can guide them along the way, and you would be able to use each other as a resource. And of course, if you're like completely in the wrong direction, or if you're not quite picking up, then I would jump in and I would kind of direct you what needs to be done. But again, it's a student-driven review for the test, and a lot of times I like copy paste too. I might put in exactly the same question from one of the wiki sets directly into the test. So it's a good idea for the group to go over the entire set of 12 questions that are assigned to that group. And then, of course, you go over that in class. The aim for doing that in class essentially is that you're going to teach the class that if that were a test question, what should their approach be. So you shouldn't just say, hey, this was my question and this is what I think is the answer. I want you to tell them what's the starting point. Why do you think that's the direction that you're taking? So tell them how you arrived at that answer rather than what the answer is. You will be graded on the accuracy, on the collaboration, as well as what you present. So again, there are 3 segments to this, and each of those segments is worth 1% point. So it's important that you participate in all 3 of those segments. Please do not forget about the online collaboration part, which basically means giving each other the critical insight. It is worth 30 points. You will do this only once in the entire semester, and that's it. In addition to that, like I said, we have What's Wrong with Me, reaction mechanism homework. We do this entire one within the month of May because I want you to get started on a strong foothold as far as the mechanism aspect of tests go. This particular semester, your tests will look slightly different than what they look, but they will have a common theme because the semester is all about functionalities, their reactivities, their properties, and that is going to be reflected in the tests as well. So each test will be divided into a nomenclature section, which is close to about 15 to 20% of the points. There is an analysis section, there is a prepare question section, there is a box problem section, and there is a mechanism question. So we would go through the entire range essentially, and the what's wrong with me reaction mechanism will hopefully minimize the kind of error, so you can get those 20% points, those solid 20% points, by not making those errors. So hopefully you can see that the side assessment that I was talking about, which is based on reaction mechanism, is more focused in the month of May. The problem, the molecule of the semester assignment is going to be given to you in the month of May, but you will turn in everything in the month of July. So you will still have, the entire June month to kind of mull over it. So it's an important thing to manage your time, and this particular course will do so. And I'll talk about the labs, and as I'll tell you what are the things that you could do, on a certain weekend, and basically be done for that entire month as far as labs go. And that will save you a lot of time and allow you to focus in other aspects of the course. If you need help from the OSD, which is the Office of Students with Disabilities, you need to get me the specific paperwork. In this case, within this week. Usually during fall and spring, I allow 2 weeks, but since summer is slightly shorter, and we will start seeing assessments as early as this week, I would want you to, get me the paperwork so that I can give you the necessary time that you're supposed to get. All right. Like I said, academic honesty. Well, cheating is one thing if you're caught cheating, but plagiarism is another one. A lot of students think that if they have cited, if they have provided the reference for a given assignment, let's say it's the molecule of the semester assignment, and they took, the procedure from a certain book and they just copied it word to word, and in the end they just said, oh, by the way, this was taken from. And that passes for, the fact that they haven't cheated. And no, the answer to that is no. That still falls under plagiarism. If you're taking information from a resource, you are supposed to still paraphrase it. Those are not your words, so you still have to write it in your own words. And again, if you're caught cheating, then you are basically violating the student code of conduct at Valencia, and that is going to throw your academic career in big jeopardy. So please, again, do not do that. The expected student code of conduct can be found online. Some information is provided to you over here that you can use and go over to see what the general rules are. You will see as we go through the course, every single assessment revolves around developing the core competencies that we see as faculty, we see our students to develop. And some of those are to be able to think, to be able to value your education, to be able to communicate what you just learned and act upon it. And through the lecture, the discussion, the group work, the online learning activities, you're going to essentially develop your mastery over these competencies to foster analytical and critical thinking. This is a science course. Be ready for some real science. If you need assistance, Valencia does offer the Baycare Behavioral Health Student Assistance Program. It's a 24-hour hotline service. 800 number is provided. Free face-to-face counseling is also available to Valencia students. As far as computer and equipment use is concerned, in the labs you will be using the computers only to get the IRs, but never for your own personal Gmail, etc. Just use your phone for that. Do not use the lab computers for that reason. All right. The learning outcomes, essentially upon the completion of the class, you would be able to demonstrate an understanding of functionalities like the aromatics, the alcohols, ethers, carbonyl compounds, carboxylic acid derivatives, which basically includes not just the properties but the nomenclature, chemical reactivity, analysis, physical properties, be able to carry out multi-step organic synthesis and plan those steps appropriately through the MOS assignment, for instance, be able to conduct and follow instructions in the lab experiments, and be able to write down a scientific report, which again revolves around both your 10 labs that you're going to turn in, and also the MOS assignment. So talking about labs, let's discuss a little bit about labs. We are going to follow the book Small Scale Synthesis by Zanger and McKee. The customized version of the book is available in the bookstore. Now, if you took organic chemistry 1 on East Campus, then this is the book that we used for organic 1 as well. So the whole book, the carbonless carbon copy, all of it just goes as is into organic 2. We save some green that way. You will be needing a carbonless carbon copy as well. This is available in the bookstore as well for, I believe, around $16 or so. And there are other vendors online that sell it for about $12 to $13. I think Amazon also provides a 2-day free delivery to college students, so you can take advantage of that. But there is no reason that you should not have the carbonless lab notebook on the first day that you need it, which by the way is 1 week from now, because the first lab is a handout lab, so you would basically be printing the material off Blackboard and just bringing that with you for this particular first lab, which is the techniques lab. The second lab, which is the chromatography lab, is where you actually have to write the information, and that is when you will need your carbonless carbon copy. You will need a scientific calculator for making any calculations. Phones are not allowed in the lab, and so please refrain from using that. Attendance policy for the labs: there are no makeup labs. Be punctual. Usually I would provide you for the semester, I would provide you pre-recorded videos with instructions. There is very little pre-lab discussion that I would carry out. We would spend most of the time in getting the lab done, because we would have sometimes more than one exercise for that particular day. So please make sure that you're there on time. I do take attendance for the lab, and like I said, if you miss 3 labs, then you're not going to be able to complete the course. You are going to receive an F in that in the course, even with documented excuse. Overall, we will be running 10 labs, and it accounts for 25% of your grade. The pre-lab assignment, let's talk about that. It's exactly the same as it was in Organic 1. This is a write-up that must be completed prior to coming into the lab, and if it's not complete, then basically you won't be able to run the lab. So completing the pre-lab is kind of like a ticket to be able to run the lab. Now, since I provide you a video with the instructions and everything, and for some of the labs, actually you would see me run the lab. So for example, the chromatography lab is about a 16-minute video where I ran the lab and I recorded the entire lab for you, so you would have seen that. So it's a good idea to go over those. And where would you find those? They can be found under lab related documents. Lab related documents folder in the content section, contents of the Blackboard. So again, if you don't take the syllabus quiz, the content folder doesn't open for you. If the content doesn't open for you, you obviously cannot access the quizzes and the PowerPoints and the homework problems and the lab related documents and the videos and basically the entire course. So what must you do? First, please take the syllabus quiz, and it has to be done up to 100% accuracy. For any observations, you're not going to use a pencil. You're going to use only pen. I do initial your pre-lab, and I also initial one of your data points, and so that must be done in pen. If you make a mistake, let's say you were supposed to write 4.538 grams, and you wrote 4.358 grams. Suppose. All you have to do is scratch that off and write the new number right on top of it. Do not try to use the whitener. Do not try to, just scratch off so hard on it that the paper gets torn. I should be able to read what you intend to remove. I should be able to see that. But that's in general what you would be doing. So something that we have been following for the last 3 semesters at least. Okay, let's talk about the tentative schedule. So for instance, on Tuesday, this is the column for Tuesday and this is the column for Thursday. So on Tuesday, you would be coming to 347. I don't know why the whole slide is not showing. In 347 East Campus, and we would be, since I'm taking the time to go over the entire syllabus, and hopefully most, if not all, would have taken the syllabus quiz by then and come out in flying colors. We would be able to hit the ground running, and we would start with spectroscopy. I am not sure how many of you have a pretty sound background in spectroscopy, but we are going to use that as a tool in labs as well as lecture. So that's what I'm going to be working on. And then we are going to work on the safety lecture and the techniques lab on Thursday. We will continue to follow the schedule. Anytime there is a change, I will let you know through an announcement. It is your responsibility to go over the email that I send you. Notice for each of these assignments, especially for the day of the lab, I have provided in parentheses the percentage points. That's the percentage points that's going to go towards your grade. So if you miss that particular lab, essentially that is what is at stake at the minimum. So make sure that you don't miss any of the labs. Those are critical. Anytime you see a wiki assignment, so that's the group assignment that I was talking about earlier. So wiki 1, wiki 2, right over here. Notice the first exam, that's the week of 25th. 25th is Memorial Day, but Memorial Day is not going to clash with the exam because our exam doesn't start until Friday, 7 a.m. in the morning, and it will remain available Monday, 7 p.m. at night. The testing center closes at 9, so you don't want to go there, at 9 o'clock. The test would already be gone. And You can go there Saturday, you can go there Friday, whichever day works for you according to your work schedule. The testing center hours, they are following summer hours, especially it's a little bit lesser in the first 6 weeks of summer. So you can take a look at that, and whatever day works for you, you can decide appropriately. In the week of 25th, that means on that Thursday, we will have, in addition to the lab, we will have the in-class mechanism exercise as well. So what I'll do is I'll give you guys, between you and your lab partner, each of you will get a sheet which will have essentially some wrong mechanisms, and you will have to fix it, and you will essentially go over each other's work. So that's collaborative work as well. You would be able to get 0.75% points out of your own work, and the 0.25% points out of the collaborative critical insight work that you do for your lab partner. Okay, so like I said, for each of these labs, I give you the instruction through a video as well as the student notes that are available ahead of time. So if I were you, since you don't have this particular first week of class, you don't have really like a, like a lab, or maybe on the Memorial Day weekend, if you wanted to just work according to your schedule. You don't have to do this. This is just a suggestion. Some people find it useful, that they just basically sit down and they go through that month's lab. So let's say we have 4 weeks, and if we are going to be running 4 labs, they just do the pre-lab part, so writing down the aim, writing down the contents and all of that. They just sit down for about 3 to 4 hours, and they get all of those pre-labs done ahead of time, so that they save on the time for some real assessments, because like you will see, as the course progresses, sometimes it can become overwhelming in terms of lab, as to how much you have to keep ready. On the other hand, some people they have a schedule that doesn't allow them to do this. So they would still want to just chop it down into smaller sections, and they would just invest about half an hour to 45 minutes each weekend and work in that manner. So you have to work, your schedule better than I do. So you have to work according to your schedule. Just make sure that it's done. Let's look at take-home quiz. That was one thing. So I'm announcing essentially ahead of time which are the weeks that we have a take-home quiz, which would be due at 6:30 when you come in. So again, for those who intend to take that, 24 hours prior to when it's due, you have to print it, solve it, bring it with you, and turn it in class in original. I think that is it from me. If you have any questions, feel free to either email or ask me during class. But again, I can't emphasize enough, you must take the syllabus quiz and be ready day 1 of class. I will be sending some other information that will be pertinent for the first week that you can go over and complete, and I'll see you in class. All right, take care.